Now you've got your Quest 2 and you want to know what games to spend your money on. Well, today we've got the best Quest 2 games of 2022. First up is one of my favorites of the entire year, Into the Radius. Into the Radius will bring you to a post-apocalyptic world where you have to venture out into the radius to scavenge for supplies, collect items, and overall just survive the creepy bad things, while also progressing through a well-told and interesting story. This game has so many things going for it. The mechanics in the game are fantastic. Even visually, it's pretty good for the Quest 2. But the thing that really gets me is the survival stuff. Cleaning your guns, repairing them, scavenging for food. It's got quite a few different varied areas to explore as you make your way through the different portions of the map. Honestly though, if you're looking for a survival type of game, this game is definitely one of the best ones on the Quest 2, and it'll give you a nice long hours of campaign to play along with the awesome mechanics. Next up is probably my personal game of the year for this year on the Quest 2, and that is NFL Pro Era. I'm a massive NFL football fan, and this game puts you into the position of quarterback and has you legitimately leading your favorite NFL team to a Super Bowl victory. Now keep in mind that this game just has you playing as quarterback currently, but they are looking at bringing updates to the platform. Who knows what they're going to bring? Multiplayer is one of the things that they're going to bring, and I'm talking head-to-head multiplayer where one team plays against another. Right now they have multiplayer, but it's mostly just a mini-games type of thing where you can go and hang out in some of the stadiums, which is still pretty cool. It's just overall a super satisfying game. If you're a fan at all of NFL football, this could be a life-changing experience to step into the shoes of your favorite QB. Next up, if you're looking for a city builder, but you don't want to get into that stressful situation of trying to manage an entire city, Little Cities might be for you. Little Cities is a great game, and when I say relaxing, I don't mean that it's not stressful. In some instances where you do have to make sure there's fire departments to put out fires, and you have to take care of your population, but it is a lot different than some of the other city management games that just stress me the heck out and just aren't fun to me. Because of that, this game concentrates on the more relaxing aspects of building a city, enjoying the process of building it, and even though it does have challenges and it can get quite hard, it does it in a way that is more manageable for someone like me that just doesn't want to be stressed out. Plus, they keep adding really cool updates consistently to the game, and if you enjoy city builders, I highly recommend it. Next up is my personal platforming game of the year, Moss Book 2. Shouldn't be a surprise considering how good Moss Book 1 was, but Moss Book 2 is a fantastic sequel to the first game, and it's such fun to play as cute little Quill as you continue through the story that was started in the first book. If you haven't played the first one, play that one first, and then buy Book 2 because they're both fantastic platformers. And if you have not played a third-person platformer in VR, what the heck are you waiting for? It's just a fantastic experience. This next game is about as close to Metal Gear Solid you can get in VR currently, and that is Aspire 2. Aspire 2's campaign is a blast, in my opinion. I love being able to sneak around the maps, hold up the enemies, hide the bodies as you tranquilize them, or take them out, depending on your playstyle, or you can go in guns blazing and try to just take everyone out. Personally, as a massive stealth espionage game fan, this was really cool to play. This next game actually just launched recently, and I love this game. I just did a video on it, and it's called Compound. Compound is much more in-depth than you would think from a game that looks like it does. It looks like a retro, kind of kid-friendly colors, but trust me, it's not. It's just a blast. It's a roguelike game that'll have you continually trying to get farther and farther in these procedurally generated levels to unlock new weapons and beat the bosses. The hard difficulty level is just insanely hard, and it's just so much fun to play. Next up, for multiplayer games that are a blast, I put Among Us VR on here because I had such a fun time playing Among Us VR. The only downside to Among Us is that because it's such a cheap game and there are a lot of kids playing it, you can jump into random lobbies that just suck the life out of you. and so that can be a little bit of a negative. But if you have friends you can play with, or if you find the right public room, it can be a blast. There are updates coming out for moderation and stuff, so you can kick people that mess with the game. But if you either enjoy the flat version of Among Us, or if you just want to play a great multiplayer game, Among Us VR is a blast, and you can't beat it for $10. Red Matter 2 is near the top of my list for best games of the year. It is at the top of my list for best visuals on the Quest 2 of the year. It is a feast for the eyes playing this game on the Quest 2. It's a fantastic experience. If you want something that is visually stunning and going to draw you in from a visual standpoint, definitely get Red Matter 2. Red Matter 2 is my favorite puzzle game of the year, though, and it's definitely the best visual game for the Quest 2. Next up, if you're a superhero lover like me, you gotta have Marvel's Iron Man VR on the list. What a fantastic addition to the Quest 2 library. It's got such a fun and well-told story, and even though it's a little older because it originally launched on the PlayStation VR, it's still an awesome experience, and playing on the Quest is way better than PlayStation VR because the controllers are way easier to use, and it just overall feels way better not being connected to another device with a cable. Really a dream come true because you literally step into the boots of Tony Stark and take over the Iron Man suit. It's just a fun experience. If you love superheroes or if you love Iron Man, or even if you don't, if you just want to play a fun game, Iron Man VR is fantastic. Next up, I included Bone Lab on this list because even though there are some people that just don't like this game and there are aspects to it that drive me nuts, it's a really cool physics-based game for the Quest, and it's a pretty amazing feat what they've been able to accomplish on a standalone platform. Visually, it's nothing to write home about. It's okay, but the gameplay is really cool. It's not like the best story in the world. The physics playgrounds are really cool, and it's got some awesome mods that you can get for it. I mean, it's one of the most popular games still on the Quest 2, so I decided to put it on my list because I did have fun with it. Next up, Ancient Dungeon VR. If you want a dungeon crawler, this is a fantastic and fun game. Yes, the visuals look a little simplistic, but once you really dive into the game, the physics are really cool, the gameplay is awesome, procedurally generated dungeons, it's a blast, and they have a multiplayer update coming in the future, which is going to make this game even better. This started off, I believe, on SideQuest actually, and then made its way to App Lab, and now that it's on the full store, I highly recommend anyone getting it that has not tried it. It's just a really cool roguelike dungeon crawler, and it's a blast. Next up is another survival game that I added to the list because it's a pretty in-depth game. It's Green Hell VR. Now, it's not perfect, but overall, it is a fun single-player campaign that you play through, and it does have some really cool survival elements, just like the actual Green Hell game. From picking leeches off of your body to trying to heal yourself, building structures. There's a lot going on here, and if you want a survival game that takes place in an Amazon rainforest and that's your kind of jam, then you'll definitely be happy with Green Hell VR. Okay, so I included another online game here in Zenith, The Last City. This is a really well-done MMORPG for virtual reality. It's kind of a more futuristic MMORPG. I don't know if it's steampunk. I don't know what it is, but it's not like, wow, if you're looking for that. Zenith is a really cool game. They just added another update that is like catching pets, which is a lot like catching Pokemon if you're looking for that. Zenith The Last City is an MMO that will keep you busy for a long time if you're into that thing. Last up, I wanted to include one hand tracking game on this list, and after looking at a few different ones, I decided to go with Surgeoneer. This disturbing but wickedly fun game is crazy fun, even if it's pretty disgusting. Surgeoneer will have you performing different surgical operations and procedures with your hands in virtual reality to very hilarious and sometimes very messy results. Overall, I had a lot of fun with it. Some of the time I had to pick up my controllers just because the hand tracking worked, but I couldn't quite get it to work well enough to complete some of the procedures. But if you want to play around with hand tracking and do so in a messy environment, Surgeoneer is definitely the thing that you want to check out. Well, there you go. Those are my best Quest 2 games launched in 2022. What are yours? Let me know down in the comments what you think, and check out some of my other best game videos if you're looking for more games to play on your Quest 2. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Happy questing.